If you or someone close to you has been diagnosed with MS, or you keep hearing more people talk about it but still feel confused, overwhelmed, or unsure what actually matters, you are not alone. Most people know the name multiple sclerosis, but very few truly understand how it shows up, how it progresses, or why it feels so different from person to person. By the end of this video, you are going to understand 7 of the most important things to know about MS in 2026, including how it is viewed today, what people often misunderstand about it, and why these details matter, whether you are newly diagnosed, supporting someone else, or just trying to stay informed. Stay tuned. Hi, hello, how are you? So, today we are going to talk about 7 of the most important aspects regarding multiple sclerosis in 2026. Let's just go ahead and get started, shall we? We'll start off with number 1. MS is no longer a one-path disease. Your journey will be personal. So what you need to know about this is MS looks wildly different from person to person. And in 2026, we finally acknowledge that there is no standard MS experience. Everyone with MS truly is different, basically like a fingerprint. And recent literature now shows this. Our symptoms might be similar, but that's pretty much where it ends. So the common misconception here is that people still think MS follows a predictable decline or that everyone ends up disabled in the same way. I honestly felt to that too. And that's obviously completely outdated and inaccurate. And why this matters in 2026? Well, even from 10 years ago when I was diagnosed, there's better imaging, earlier diagnosis, and more treatment paths. So that includes even lifestyle-based approaches. MS outcomes are more individualized than ever. And here's an example of that. So you've got 2 people diagnosed the same year and they can have completely different symptoms. Maybe one person's got some serious vision issues while the other may have some lower extremity weakness, maybe some numbness or tingling. Both the energy levels can be possibly different or the same, different treatment plans. And both can be doing well, ultimately. Now that you have an understanding in how unique you are in your MS journey, the next thing is to find a doctor that is best suited for you. And this brings us to point 2. Your first MS doctor won't always be the right one, and that's totally normal. So, finding the right neurologist or MS specialist, and let's be clear here, I want to make sure everybody knows this, not all neurologists know how to treat MS, so make sure you do find somebody that does. But this is part of a process, so it's not a failure on your part. As I have said in videos in the past, so an MS neurologist knows MS and what they've studied, but they don't know your body. Now, the common misconception here, which honestly kind of goes maybe even for across all specialties, not even so much as neurology, but many newly diagnosed patients believe that they have to stay with the first doctor that they see, or that questioning recommendations is being difficult. And by that I mean what the doctor is asking you to do. And this is absolutely not true. And why this matters right now in 26 is keeping in mind, again, you're an individual. Your journey for MS is completely unique, even to any other MS patient. So healthcare is obviously more patient-driven now. And MS care requires collaboration, not blind compliance. So think of it this way. If you stay with a doctor you're not jiving with, how poorly could it potentially hurt your care plan or your treatments, medications moving forward? Any nurse, myself, will always tell you, advocate for yourself with your health care. So, for example, as a nurse and as an MS patient, I've had appointments where I have left extremely frustrated, one doctor particularly, and others where I have left empowered. The difference was the provider, it wasn't me. So, once you have a doctor who collaborates with you like mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, what have you, obviously this will also lead to figuring out the best treatment plan for you. Medications perhaps, no medications, and maybe just going with a holistic type lifestyle. And this brings us to point 3. Medications are tools, not moral decisions. So The one thing you need to know here, of course, is being on, being off, or changing medications. It does not define whether you're doing MS right. This again is what you choose. There are people who aren't on meds and people who are, and both are doing just fine. And you also, like me, might need a change with your medication. So the great news is that there are tons of options. Now, the common misconceptions with this is that there's still a pressure to believe that more aggressive treatment always equals better outcomes. And obviously, that's not true. The also maybe adding into that is that stopping meds means that you're just giving up. No, you're not. And why this matters in 2026 is that, well, we now recognize risk tolerance, side effects, and disease activity, and quality of life as equally important factors in decision making. You have a life to live, and having MS is merely just a pebble in the road. This disease just isn't who you are. There is so much obviously more to you. Now, an example of this point is that some people thrive on long-term medication while others pause or change. Both require close monitoring and informed choice, just as long as you keep a very close relationship with your physician. With all of this, you will find in a daily reasonable amount of time that MS comes with a huge learning curve. For you, it will be in figuring out what therapy works best for you. And for your friends or your loved ones around you, it could be in understanding your needs with this disease. And sometimes it could present you feeling tired a lot. And that brings us to point 4. Fatigue is not laziness. It's a neurological symptom. So, MS fatigue is one of the most disabling and misunderstood symptoms, and rest doesn't always fix it. That said, it's completely normal to always feel tired. Lord knows I absolutely love my sleep. Now, the common misconception here is that friends, family, and even clinicians may just say, get more sleep or push through this. This is the bad thing about MS being an invisible disease. Nobody will ever truly understand how you're feeling, especially those close to you. It is frustrating. You will also need to have patience with the process. Many times what you're feeling and what the doctor tells you from lab results, and imaging, they don't always align. And why this matters in today, 2026, is that more research now validates MS fatigue as neurological, not motivational. And accommodations are increasingly supported. So sneaking away for that 15 to 20 minute little nap during your lunch break, I've done that too. You will also need to have patience with the process. Many times what you're feeling and what the doctor tells you from lab results, and imaging, they don't always align. And this obviously brings us to point 5. MRI results don't always match how you feel. So, new findings show that your symptoms and your MRI can tell two very different stories, and both matter. This is why, again, it's very important to stay connected with your MS doctor neurologist. Now, the common misconception here is that people assume a stable MRI means symptoms aren't real, or that worsening MRI means you'll feel terrible immediately. Obviously not true. So, why this matters in 2026? Well, clinicians now emphasize treating the person and not just the scan. We're individuals, remember? Because invisible symptoms are finally being taken seriously. Essentially, all bets are off with MS. It's all about you and communicating how you're feeling. And, for example, you can have no new lesions and still struggle with pain, fatigue, or brain fog, and obviously that deserves care. However, you will often find times of frustration when those around you don't seem to understand, keeping in mind this is an invisible disease. Or you may have a real down day when your body just isn't working as you'd like it to. Suddenly you may find yourself losing that spark and joy you once had. Maybe you're even having difficulty getting out of bed, not because you can't. And that brings us to point 6. Mental health care is MS care. This one I personally hold close to my heart. So an MS diagnosis affects identity, safety, and the future. Emotional support is not optional. It's very common for multiple sclerosis patients to either need therapy, medications to help with anxiety, depression, or both. Do not feel guilty or shame about this. You have tons on your plate, so give yourself grace. Many people believe anxiety or depression after a diagnosis means, well, they're not coping well enough. That's hogwash. And why this matters in 2026? Well, we now understand MS impacts the brain and the nervous system. Hello, you have lesions on your brain. Mental health support improves outcomes, obviously, so simply look at it this way. And yeah, it's corny, but in this case, mind, body, and spirit, they're genuinely connected. Okay, so example, as a nurse, I was trained to push through everything. But as a patient, I learned that support actually made me stronger. Honestly, Lexapro is my savior, and I personally feel like it's a wonder drug. Wouldn't be without it. That said, I also do my best to set out basically self-preservation for myself and also set boundaries when it comes to work and rely on my friends for, support. Here you are dealing with the physical symptoms of MS, and then you have to mentally digest all the new information as it comes to you with MS. Again, be kind to yourself and know that this is not the end by any means. Bringing us to point 7, the final one. You can still build a meaningful and full life. It's just gonna look a little different. MS, it changes things, but it does not cancel your future. Everyone say it with me. I have MS. MS does not have me. You just have to pivot. Now, the oversight here is that newly diagnosed people often believe that they have to give up all their goals, careers, relationships, and just general happiness. If anything, you may possibly find that you are led to another scenario which brings you more happiness than maybe even before you were diagnosed. Right now, in 2026, more people with MS are working, traveling, parenting, and creating businesses, and ultimately redefining success all on their own terms. Yes, women, you too, you can have children without issue. In fact, oftentimes women don't need their MS meds during pregnancy. So ultimately, life with MS may require flexibility and pivoting, but flexibility is not failure. The great news is that we live in a time where multiple sclerosis is, as I've said, highly treatable. While it's obviously a hit to your mental health and your physical abilities, us MSers are strong and we just learn to adjust in life. So with these points, you now have some guidance on how better to navigate your new MS diagnosis and hopefully help your loved one in understanding what they're going through. And hopefully you notice a pattern here that this is all about you. With this disease, it's totally okay to be selfish. It's downright survival. So sleep and rest when you need to. Find that doctor who you're totally simpatico with and who understands your symptoms. And just know that you're an individual, not just in general, but also with your multiple sclerosis. If this was helpful for you, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.